Well, hello everyone. It's nice to have you with me for the next little while. This past weekend, I went to the Taiwan Motorcycle Show. Now, I haven't been to the Taiwan Motorcycle Show in approximately 6 years. That was mainly because when I went that time, I found it extremely boring. So I thought to myself, well, I'll go this time and I'll put aside an hour. Well, after I walked in, I was pleasantly surprised. It has improved dramatically from 6 years ago. 6 years ago, it was predominantly a lot of OEM stuff, and bikes were sort of in one corner, and it was just rather dull. I mean, if you're into OEM stuff, fine. But I'm not. I want to see scooters, I want to see bikes, and there were a lot of new scooters coming up for 2025. Some of them are not even available for sale yet, just some sample models. Of course, some bikes that we all know, like the Dax, which is an unusual bike, actually, I have to say. And so many other things. The nice thing, of course, is that this event takes place at the Nangang Convention Center, which is in the eastern part of the city. And this year, the convention hall, because there are two, they use the larger convention hall, which has a lot more space. So there's a lot of more for the walking area. Brands that I was very surprised to see there were Royal Enfield. Royal Enfield did pull out of the Taiwan market a few years ago over some issues which I covered in a previous video, but they were there this time. And I was very surprised to find out that Taikoo Motors, which is the importer for Harley-Davidson, is now signed a deal with Royal Enfield. And Royal Enfield bikes will be available at Harley dealerships. There's more about Royal Enfield coming up a little bit later on. So as I said, there was some OEM stuff, but it was really a focus on bikes and scooters themselves. Some very unusual ones, like this one here, which looks a cross between a Lambretta and a Vespa. Brixton Motorcycles was there with some new upcoming models for 2025 that will be available in Taiwan probably in the next 6 months, which will be interesting to see. And one thing about Brixton, by the way, in case you don't know this, they're a Chinese company that was founded by two Austrians. I even talked about Brixton motorcycles in a previous video. If you check, you'll see them. Suzuki had a very nice display. Oh, this is a bike that I absolutely love. I mean, it's so childish, but, you know, I think if you're into bikes, childish is good. There were some very interesting ones as well. I mean, this Suzuki is quite nice. They had the new Hayabusa, which was quite interesting, and a lot of fascinating stuff as well. Now, it's not the unnormal thing where I would interrupt the middle of a video with this video inside a video. Anyway, of course, it just kind of screws up with continuity, but I want to mention something that I probably didn't mention before, and I don't mention afterward, even though I thought it was probably one of the best motorcycle shows that Taipei put on. There was one thing, though, however, that was a little bit peculiar. And that was, of all things, the test riding area. So the test riding area was basically around the block of the Nangang Convention Center. And I'll just explain to you how it goes. So you get on the bike, you go to a corner, there's a stoplight. You turn the corner, by the time you get to the next corner, there is a stoplight. You move probably maybe 10 meters, there's a stoplight. You move another 5 to 10 meters, there's another stoplight, and then you turn the corner, followed by another stoplight. And of course, depending on how much traffic there is, and of course there's going to be a lot because it is the weekend, you have to wait a bit, and then you get to the corner and you turn, and then you're back. The whole thing takes about 15 minutes. And a friend of mine who went on Sunday, he test rode the brand new Suzuki Hayabusa, which is a fast bike. The test ride was a little bit like my experience, but I think on a Hayabusa, kind of useless. He never got beyond 15 to 18 kilometers an hour, and he never went beyond second gear. Now, if there's anybody watching right now who are the organizers of the Taipei Motorcycle Show for next year, 2026, everything was fantastic. Maybe you should rethink the testing area. I've been to motorcycle shows before where the testing area was they take people out on rides. So maybe you have it at a different location where you could do a proper ride and have a proper experience. I mean, the idea of taking a Hayabusa out for 15 minutes where you're at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different stoplights, each taking approximately 90 to 95 seconds, with a lot of cars around, not being able to go faster than between 15 and 18 kilometers, not being able to go beyond second gear, kind of defeats the purpose, if you know what I mean. Anyway, let's get back to what I was just talking about, which I have no idea what it is because I still haven't done that voiceover yet. Yamaha past, and then of course Yamaha present. There were a lot of people. This was the second day. Friday was for only the people in the industry, and then Saturday and Sunday was open to the public. I also had a chance to try on something rather interesting that I'd heard about before. I'm going to get inflated. You know, it's much more comfortable than I thought. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Just go very slow though. This is not that real. Good inflation. Oh no, go ahead. You know what's interesting? How fast does it inflate?
50, it's less than 50 milliseconds.
Okay. Yeah, because I was thinking if you have an accident, it's like, I'm bleeding, okay, let's go.
It's pretty...
A whole section of bikes that have all kinds of modifications. Some are quite good, but some are a little bit strange. I'm not sure if I'd even want to ride them. Some of the seats look slightly uncomfortable for long trips. Nice BMW. This one's also nice. There's one you're going to see in a moment that, I don't know. I think if you have a shop, you can put it on display, but that's actually about it. You're going to see it in a moment. And there we are. There are headlights, if you can call them that, but they're actually indicator lights just on top of each other. There was a test ride area where after a while I decided to go and test a bike that I had not ridden in 4 years. I think you know which bike it is if you followed me before. I haven't ridden a Royal Enfield in approximately 4 years. This one here that I'm going to be test riding is the 350 new edition. So I'll have to see what it's like. Yes, it's the same seating position as an Enfield, and starter is in a different place. Now it's here. The one that I had was a push button at the bottom, different controls. Still with a clock type speedo. And by the way, if there's anybody from the UK watching, I have a question. Why is it old British ones went from 20 this way instead of what we see now? All right, so we'll see what it's like. Sitting on it, it feels just like an Enfield. And the sound? Yep, the same sound. All right. In a few minutes.
Okay. Then back.
Forgot the stand.
How was it?
I still wouldn't have one. Okay, well, I'm back inside. And as you know, I just test rode the Royal Enfield Bullet, which is 350cc. I haven't ridden a Royal Enfield in about 4 years. After I had mine, which I think I told you about, it was falling to bits. It's weird, you know, it's one of those things where a lot of people have said, oh, Royal Enfield's quality has changed and it's gotten better. Yes, that is true, but when you're starting from the first step of a ladder and then make your way to the second step, while that is an improvement, I think there's still a long way to go. The one area that they did improve on, compared to previous models, is there's now rubber mounts for the engine. However, saying that, the bolts that bolt it to the frame don't have any dampers. So anything that's absorbed by the rubber mounts, and then you have the bolting to the engine, sort of cancels each other out. It's very strange. And like I said, I wasn't even revving the engine that much. The display is better, the brakes are better, the gearbox is way smoother, but there's still a long way to go. Anyway, as I said, I was pleasantly surprised. As I mentioned at the beginning, I only planned to go there for 30 minutes. But as the 30 minutes moved on, I'm like, no, I'm going to spend the whole day here. I was there for about 6 hours. It was a really good time. It was absolutely fascinating. And even though there was a fair amount of OEM, at least they had nice displays and it was stuff that you can buy. John Meredith, British biker in Taipei, he bought a tank bag. I was a little bit jealous because it was a bag that I was like, ooh, I want to get one as well. But it was the last one. He got a pretty good deal because it was over 5,000 Taiwan dollars. You'll see the conversion below. And he only ended up paying 3,500. If you stay to the end of the video, after we leave the hull, I've put together some pictures. So either you stay for that or move on. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that very quick look at the Taiwan Motorcycle Show, which was held last weekend. I hope you enjoyed the video. Like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you soon.